Hi, my name is Amy Walsh, and I'm a biologist with the Region 8 Migratory Birds Program at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. A few years ago, a group of bird enthusiasts began the Western Yellow Rail Working Group to aid yellow rail conservation efforts. The working group is a collaboration of researchers and resource managers from state and federal agencies, academic institutions, and non-governmental organizations. Together, we are working to better understand the biology and ecology of yellow rails that breed in a small population in the western United States. Yellow rails are wetland obligates, meaning they depend on wetland habitats for food, nesting, and protection from predators. We've spent many summer nights out at Klamath Marsh National Wildlife Refuge and other surrounding wetlands, playing a yellow rail tick call and listening for them to respond so that we can estimate the number of birds at each site. This method has helped us learn a lot about breeding yellow rails, but we still don't know much about where these birds spend their winter when they migrate away from their breeding areas. In order to address gaps in our knowledge of the winter distribution and habitat use of the western yellow rail, the Western Yellow Rail Working Group began brainstorming. The group members from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service collaborated with a team at U.S. Geological Survey, led by fellow group member Laurie Hall, to develop a project proposal for surveying locations throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. Our project was selected for funding through a collaboration between the Fish and Wildlife Service Science Applications Program and USGS, called the Science Support Partnership Quick Response Program. This funding is designated for projects that address science priorities of the Fish and Wildlife Service relating to collaborative landscape conservation or at-risk species within the Fish and Wildlife Service Pacific Southwest region. Our project aimed to test and compare new promising survey methodologies, characterize wintering habitat for yellow rails, and link wintering rails to breeding areas. This project will help us better understand the yellow rail's full annual cycle, contributing to improved international secretive marsh bird collaboration and standardized data collection.
Hi, my name is Laurie Hall, and I'm an ecologist at the U.S. Geological Survey's Western Ecological Research Center and a member of the Western Yellow Rail Working Group. I'm out here in Sassoon Marsh of the San Francisco Bay Area, California, to tell you how we're trying to detect wintering yellow rails here in California wetlands.
Sparse historical observations of yellow rails in California during winter months have led biologists to hypothesize that western yellow rails migrate south to California after breeding. In addition, researchers in Texas recently discovered a unique vocalization made by wintering yellow rails that they named the bugle call. We're using this call to help us detect wintering yellow rails in California by putting out automated recording units in wetlands. These units record bird songs around sunset, and then we'll use a computer program to detect yellow rail bugle calls in the recordings. We're also sending surveyors to each wetland 3 times this winter to play bugle calls and listen for yellow rails to respond. In January, we heard our first yellow rail bugle call during one of our surveys at Sassoon Marsh. The bird was heard in mixed vegetation habitat like this. The last method we are using to detect wintering yellow rails in California wetlands is by filtering water samples and then testing the filters for trace amounts of yellow rail DNA. This environmental DNA method is an emerging technology that could be very promising for future rail research. We'll be analyzing our data for the next several months, but we expect to have results to report back to you all in the fall. Thanks for listening.